Hey, what's up, team? My name is T. Edwards, and I teach leadership. Not leadership, I teach leadership. Different than what you may have heard before. Today, we're going to talk about the 4 things that only the leader can do. Stick with me. Now, if you've been with me in the last couple of videos, my first couple of videos, we defined leadership and we talked a lot about goals and self-awareness and things like that. But today, again, we're going to talk about the 4 things that only the leader can do. Number 1 of the 4 things that only the leader can do, the leader sets the vision. That's probably the most important thing that the leader can do. The leader has to determine exactly who we are and where we are going. The leader has to set that as the foundation of the very culture that makes up the team. The leader has the ability to see not things as they appear to be, but things as they are. That is the vision. That is where we're going, and this is how we're going to get there. Only the leader can do that. Each and every activity that the team takes has the vision at its core. How they approach the day, how they approach challenges, how they make decisions. All of those things keep the vision in mind. And when you are setting the vision for your team, your vision should inspire you. Your vision should make your heart beat. What? My vision? I'll show you what my vision is. Your team should hear the fire and energy when you talk about the vision. When you talk about that vision, the excitement and that passion should be palpable. You should be able to taste that vision when you talk about it with your team. And it'll be contagious. It'll be like a vision transmitted disease, a VTD. That vision that you set for your team should inspire you and them. And it should make everybody excited to go for it because that's who you are. Okay, the second of the 4 things that only the leader can do. The leader cultivates the team's culture. Okay? Now, I didn't say grow the culture. The culture is going to grow whether you actively or proactively, cultivate it or not. It's going to grow. You ever seen an unkempt rose bush? It's all wild and thorny and dry looking, and the rosebuds, if it's blooming at all, are all wilted and dying. It looks terrible. But a rose bush that's been cared for and nurtured and cultivated and fed and loved, it's beautiful. Okay? That's the way your culture is. So how is a culture cultivated? The culture is cultivated based on what we do every day, or what we don't do. Okay? How you act, how you speak, your standard of operation, your standard of approaching problems, the way that you approach winning and losing, the way that you take losses, all of that defines your culture. If you can have a culture of mediocrity, or you can have a culture of greatness. It's completely up to you. As the leader, you determine the culture that you are going to cultivate. If you walk in to the building first thing in the morning and it's, "Hi, sir, how are you?" And you're, yeah. Well, guess what? That's the culture you're cultivating. If you come in and you paint the walls dreary and gray, well, that's the culture that's going to come of that. But if you come into that office and you paint those walls gold like a dragon or an eagle, that's a different culture altogether that you've cultivated now, isn't it? So remember, the culture is critical for the way your team is going to operate, the way your team is going to approach success. You set that standard. You determine exactly what kind of culture you are going to cultivate within your team. Number 3 of the 4 things only the leader can do. The leader owns accountability. The leader, remember we talked about the importance of self-awareness, and we talked about that a leader can only hold him or herself accountable. Okay, same thing, same principle. The leader owns accountability. Everything comes down to me as the leader. You must hold yourself accountable. It's a crappy leader that blames the team for things that go wrong. That's a terrible leader. The leader assumes responsibility for everything gladly. The leader shoulders it. That's the leader's job. The leader says, you know what? I did that. This is on me. And when things go wrong, and they will, inevitably, things won't always go as planned. When things go wrong, the first thing the leader asks himself or herself is, how could I improve? What could I have done differently? What did I do wrong? How will I approach this next time? How will I win? That's what the leader does. And after that self-reflection, the leader rides. We go for it again because we will never, ever accept defeat. Sometimes we run out of time, but we will never quit. Okay? The leader will own the result every time. That's what the leader does. And finally, number 4 of the 4 things that only the leader can do, the leader makes decisions. The leader makes decisions with deliberate intent. Do you know what decision means? Decision comes from 2 words. De, meaning away or off or away from, and the Latin root, I think it's cadere. The Latin root cadere, C-A-E-D-E-R-E. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's right there on the screen, which means to cut. So when we make a decision, we are cutting away that thing that we were before we made that decision, and we are something new. That's a decision with deliberate intent. Anything else is just a wish or a folly or a whim. So the leader makes decisions, and the leader takes the responsibility of making the final decision. Many, many teams have been destroyed and had the morale crushed by a leader who was afraid to make a decision. Oh, let's study more data. We need more information. I'm afraid. I'm scared. You buster. Listen, the leader will use the information at hand, will use the data that they've got, will use their gut, will use their instinct, will rely on the experience, and most importantly, will rely on the team and what they can offer and make a final decision. That's what the leader does. You make that decision and then we ride. That's leadership. So let's recap. 4 things that only the leader can do. Number 1, the leader sets the vision. Where there is no vision, the people will perish. That's in the word. Number 2, the leader cultivates the culture. Remember, the culture is going to grow whether you like it or not, whether you actively cultivate it or not. The culture will grow. It's up to you to cultivate it in a fashion that represents you as the leader. Number 3, the leader owns accountability. Everything that happens is because of me as the leader. And I accept that. And number 4, the leader makes decisions with deliberate intent. Okay, listen, check out my other videos if you haven't. There's a lot of good stuff there. All right, we'll see you next time. Thanks for leading.